The following podcast is improvised satire and all characters are fictional.
My first guest is the lead fashion designer at Yolanda's Basement, a bargain clothing brand with retail stores and outlets all over America. It's her job to design clothing that's not only attractive and comfortable to wear, but that also follows the fashion trends of low-income people and uses inexpensive materials that can be found in most overseas manufacturing plants. On weekends, she does skeet shooting at her house in the Hamptons. Please welcome Jenny Dent.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hello, Jenny. Wow, you're like the in-house designer for this, well, I won't say it's a low-cost fashion brand, right?
Yeah, I think we have to be careful when we say low cost, because everyone's a person and they all want to dress well, but some people can't afford it.
Right.
But they don't want to shop at Shein and other fast fashion. So what I do is I use recycled items that you can find overseas. And what can you find overseas?
I don't know.
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
So cigarettes are actually, they're very resourceful. Yeah,
So
it has a bad smell.
Sure.
But you wash it out and it's fine. Out. Yeah.
So so I'm assuming you're talking about used up cigarettes,
Yes.
cigarette butts.
Yes.
There's a lot of those in other countries.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that you can repurpose the butts of the cigarettes to form clothing.
Yes.
There must be a factory somewhere that does something incredible with that.
It's mostly the factory workers are smoking all day.
No, yes.
And
of
we
course.
encourage that behavior because we don't want people taking breaks.
So it behooves you to encourage your employees overseas to smoke.
Yeah.
Because then they make plenty of cigarette butts that you can then turn into clothing.
Well, it's great for energy. It's great for morale to all be smoking cigarettes together.
Sure.
And then you don't have to eat as much.
Calms your nerves.
With nicotine. Yeah. If you're anxious,
Right.
you just puff away.
So interesting. So, we started out this conversation by you talking about how people don't like the idea of buying from sweatshops overseas. Yeah. But then it does seem like you are in some ways exploiting overseas labor and encouraging them to smoke cancerous cigarettes, which I'm not. This is not a gotcha question. I'm assuming people put you on the spot and point this stuff out. You're just saying, I'm trying to recycle stuff. I'm trying to create good fashion for people who don't have money for it. And people probably come at you all the time with this sort of argument, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I just want them to all be friends. And it's like a water cooler banter.
Sure.
We're all having fun. I've scrounged some cigarettes too. I'm a part of the mix. I help out Yolanda. Is Yolanda a person?
I wondered that. I have that question on my notes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, have you met her?
No.
She's kind of like an infamous, you never have met Betty Crocker. Yolanda, okay. She's a being.
Yeah, okay. So
an every woman fashion icon.
Right. Yeah, well, of course, we've seen her profile on the logo.
Oh.
Right? Because her profile sort of is the logo. But I always wondered, like a Mrs. Butterworth situation, is that was that based on a human being, or is there a CEO at the top, or is this more of a mythical creature? Have you met this Yolanda person?
She's more of a mythical creature.
Okay.
We all want to aspire to be like Yolanda.
I see.
I wish we went with a sexier name, but hindsight is 20/20.
Sure. Of course.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, I think Yolanda is, it's like YOLO almost,
Are people still saying YOLO?
I don't know. Are they?
The marketing team says no.
No.
It's no longer a turn of phrase.
Okay. I bet Yolanda was cool because it sounded like YOLO for a few minutes there in the
maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
For sure, Dean, I think.
Sure. So you can't be only using cigarette butts to create your fashion, no?
It's not just that. I think it makes a really cool jacket though. Maybe a nice cargo pant.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Maybe also water bottles.
Okay.
Are also.
I have to return to another question I asked earlier.
Oh.
You must somehow process these cigarette butts to turn them into some kind of fabric. Yeah, there must be some kind of a process.
The process for the water bottles is a little bit more extensive because you really have to break it down. But we kind of, at Yolanda's Basement, we like the look of it to look like a cigarette jacket.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. You've heard of a cigarette pant.
Yeah.
But we're turning that on its head.
I assume a cigarette pant is just a pant shaped
That's
like
tailored.
a cigarette. Yeah. But what I'm envisioning with the jacket is that you have like glued hundreds and hundreds of cigarette butts to a jacket almost, or formed a weave of a million cigarette
That's
butts.
exactly right. Yes.
And what you're saying is that it smells like cigarettes, which makes sense.
You wash it out.
Do you?
Dean, I guess you obviously.
This doesn't feel like a product that can be washed. Can you wash a jacket made of cigarette butts?
I'm walking on eggshells in this interview.
I'm not trying. Like I said, I'm not trying to put you on the spot at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm mostly trying to give you a platform to address the haters.
Are there people hating on me?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know.
This feels like a surprise roast, this interview.
Sorry. No, I for sure don't want to roast you or to make you feel put on the spot. Really, I'm just curious, and I'm wondering, do you get that kind of criticism? Because it seems like people might criticize you that way.
I'm getting it from you right now.
No, truly no.
It hurts.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
I mean, because, I'm a CEO, but I'm a person.
Sure.
I think sometimes we forget that.
I don't have it in my notes that you are a CEO, but that's all right.
Okay.
but you're definitely a person.
I'm a girl boss. That's
you are
for
a girl
sure.
Boss. Yeah,
and I'm setting my own hours. I'm in the thick of it in these. I wouldn't say sweatshops. I would say manufacturing plants.
Sure.
Thank you. Because words matter.
Of course, yeah.
And CEOs matter. Girl bosses matter.
Yeah, for sure. And you being an in-house fashion designer, you must just constantly be looking for. I mean, how do you follow the trends of low-income people who they want to dress like they want Gucci, but they can't afford it? How do you go about creating something that's going to appeal to that socioeconomic group?
You walk along the streets, you see what people are into. I think we have to step away from liking brands so much because it's just the name.
Yeah.
You can just get a cool pair of pants.
Right.
Not cigarettes always, but
no.
Not always.
No. That's good to hear that you have other products.
Yeah, there's other products. I just think that's a hot item for the summer.
I see. Okay.
It's going to be a nice, breathable material. Yes.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. A hot item for the summer. No pun intended with the cigarettes. So wow. I mean, you're saying that you wander around like poor neighborhoods and you look around to see what people seem to be into?
What do we define a poor neighborhood?
I don't know.
I mean, you're the one who keeps talking about these low-income people.
Well,
you seem to have a problem with low-income people wanting to be fashionable. Is there a beef you have that you don't think they deserve
not
fashion?
At all. No, of course not. No. I mean,
I'm not trying to do gotcha.
No, we have to have that.
Journalism.
I see what you're doing there. We have to have social strata, right? If there weren't people at the bottom, then there wouldn't be able to be people at the top, right?
Oh, okay. So we're doing trickle down economics now.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Is that what you're about here?
Well, I'm not about anything. That's famously Dean Ardenfell is not about anything for himself. I'm really just interested in what you all have to say.
Okay.
And then I pretty much just accept it at face value.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to turn it back to you.
Oh, no one's ever really asked me for an opinion before on really
on
anything.
your own podcast?
No, because I'm the interviewer. Like I don't. It's not my job to have opinions on things.
So you're like Yolanda.
I guess, yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, the corporation logo is a profile of my own.
Of you,
yeah.
But you never have much to say.
No, this is feeling very therapeutic right now. And I want to I want to turn it back toward you because it makes me uncomfortable to be the center of attention.
Oh, no, for sure.
But skeet shooting. You have a hobby of skeet shooting in the Hamptons.
Yeah. Well, I have a Hamptons house that I share with Billy Joel, famously.
You share the house with Billy Joel?
Yeah.
Like a timeshare or at the same time?
Timeshare, but we're also lifelong friends.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
And we like to have a couple drinks and then, you start.
Famously, Billy Joel.
Maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too much, honestly.
Wow.
But, I just kind of fell into it, I guess. He showed me the ropes on how to skeet shoot.
Wow.
And
I didn't realize Billy Joel was into skeet shooting.
Yeah, he never sings about it, so people only know what he sings about.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about
piano.
Your public perception of Billy Joel, it's either he gets drunk and drives into someone's house.
That was one time. That was one time.
Or it's bottle of red, bottle of white, right? Like it's
the kind of mood you're in tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
For sure.
So you must get to know him a little better when you're out there shooting clay pigeons.
Yeah, we are always smoking cigarettes, obviously, and
so you're contributing to the.
I save them.
Do you?
Put them in a little bag.
It seems like for a large fashion brand that has stores and outlets all over America, that that you collecting them one cigarette butt at a time would be an inefficient system.
It's very DIY.
Yeah.
Well, there's other people in the Hamptons. It's a very nice part, and so it does get a little awkward because it's not a big shooting arena in the Hamptons. I don't know if you've ever been.
Yeah, no, it seems. Do you get the neighbors call the authorities on you and stuff?
Like once or twice, if we were getting a little too rowdy, just like shooting up some shots in the air. But we're having a good time.
Right.
I mean, people never you can't have fun anymore. It seems.
I mean, that's the Second Amendment rights. You should be able to do
the
that.
right to bear arms.
Yeah, and shoot.
Until the cows come home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why do people have such a problem with that? I don't know.
It's like you can't make a joke anymore.
Right.
It's like you can't.
I do have I'm picturing you now, and not to return to the cigarette thing, but now it's
oh
it's
my
in
God.
my head. you're dressed like a high-powered business executive. You look very fashionable, very chic.
Thank you.
And I can only imagine you everywhere you see like an ashtray or a cigarette receptacle outside and stuff. Are you picking through those to grab these cigarette butts to put them in a Ziploc bag to put in your purse to send overseas to the not sweatshops?
If there's no lipstick on it, yeah,
so,
for sure.
So do people ever stop you when you're a very attractive, high-powered, well-dressed?
Well, thank you for saying that, Dean. I appreciate that.
With your head in a trash can picking out cigarette butts.
It has happened. I will maybe dress down.
You will
when I'm doing a recon mission such as that.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to be wearing my my interview best.
No, you're probably going to dress down and then you're going to fit right in with that lower class of people.
Here we go again with you mocking the lower class.
I'm not mocking them. I'm
not getting canceled. And you know what? I think low income people are just as great.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I love those TV shows where someone pretends to be homeless. That's so funny.
It is hysterical because it's funny to laugh and we know at the end of the day that they're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they have a home to go back to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if they're not unhoused.
Right.
Yeah.
You were talking about the people on the show, not the actual homeless people that they're mocking or making fun of.
I mean, it is nice when a celebrity or like a TikTok influencer gives money to unhoused people and then records the whole thing. I think it's very sweet.
Right. That's so sweet. Yeah.
Because you can't do a good deed without posting it.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think is a really good point.
That is a good point. Do you ever do that? Do you ever film yourself doing charitable things?
I gave out cigarettes left and right for sure.
New ones? Or?
New ones, yeah. Okay. And then I tell them just make sure to mail them to my Hamptons home when they're finished.
Wow.
With the butts.
It's like collecting cereal box stops or something.
I'm a woman of the people for sure.
Yeah. It does seem like you exist. You know that movie Layer Cake where the guy exists in every social strata? It seems like you kind of exist in a lot of different social strata.
I've never seen that movie. When did it was that a recent movie?
2001.
2001.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
It sounds great.
It really is neither here nor there. It's probably a pretty bad reference for what we're talking about.
Yeah, you brought it up. Yeah.
It just came out of nowhere. It came into my head, and I hadn't. Like I said, I'm not used to people putting me on the spot to contribute things to the conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. This has been more back and forth than most of my interview guests. Honestly.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't value a man's opinion, and that's my fault.
What's
I think
that?
I shouldn't value men's opinion.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm a girl boss.
I see. Is that what it means to be a girl boss? Is to not value any men's opinions?
Yeah. It means like crushing skulls.
Yeah.
Not listening to men, mocking them maybe openly.
Sure.
Setting your own hours is probably the biggest part of it, though, for sure.
Yeah. Setting your own hours and crushing skulls of men.
And crushing skulls, maybe a multi-level marketing scheme.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gotcha. Wow.
Sorry.
Fascinating. So we're gonna get to our next guest here. If you'll stick around, we'd love to have you.
I would love to stay.
That's great. Well, folks, my second guest today is getting things done under the surface. We're gonna find out what that means. But first, let's pause and hear a quick word from our sponsor. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'd like to remind you at this point, as I do every show, that I, Dean Ardenfell, am not and have never been an employee of Hogswood Cooper Media or any of its subsidiaries. Okay, we've been talking to Jenny Dent from Yolanda's Basement, and now I'd like to bring in my second guest, who works for a totally different subsidiary of Hogswood Cooper. She is the personal golf ball diver for John Pimfred Jr., CFO of Hogswood Cooper Media. In that role, she follows Mr. Pimfred from course to course with scuba gear, with the express goal of immediately recovering any of his lucky balls that may end up in the water. In her spare time, she trains neighborhood crows. Please welcome Lynn Pinsgard. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you.
Yeah.
such an interesting job you have. Most, a lot of clubs have their own golf ball recovery staff, but you're like a private golf ball recovery expert that just follows this one guy around who's like superstitious about his golf balls, and you make sure that you are dredging them up from the ponds when they go in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've pretty much trained for this my entire life, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You can't have possibly known when you were learning how to scuba dive that this would be what you'd end up doing, or was this
it's the only reason I learned how to scuba dive.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I went golfing one time and I was like, those ponds look mighty deep. And I was like, if I were to jump in, I might not survive unless I had scuba gear. Yeah,
so what happened was first golf, then the instinct to plunge yourself into a pond, then scuba.
Yes. Kind of just like a natural instinct for us.
Was it because you were going out, you wanted to go after a ball that you had lost, or?
No. I'm not really good at golf. I wasn't really playing. Okay. I went to the golf course. I see. Just to kind of scout.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Had you ever, I don't know why I'm asking this question. Had you ever seen a body of water before you saw the pond at the golf course?
What?
Because it seems like you were strangely drawn to the water.
What do you mean by like body of water?
Like a lake or an ocean or, some other non-golf course water body.
So there's more than ponds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like whole oceans of water that people usually, scuba dive in.
So, but I thought an ocean was just like a bigger pond.
Well, in some ways, I suppose it is. Yeah. Yeah. But I guess I'm wondering if you, did you lead some kind of like a sheltered life where this was the first body of water you had ever seen and then you wanted to go into it, or?
I mean, I don't know about sheltered. I grew up in the woods, but
okay. So like landlocked in the woods or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a beach you went to in the summertime or anything like that?
Beach.
I'm getting a blank stare.
Yeah, I don't really know what you mean by that.
Okay, cool.
Beach.
So for someone who's very livelihood depends on going underwater, you have a real sort of blind spot when it comes to other bodies of water that are non-golf course.
I've only ever trained in ponds.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So
I didn't even know you could do that.
If you find a deep one.
No, I mean, I didn't know training programs existed for just ponds.
Well, I didn't go to a program.
Oh, you didn't?
I taught myself.
Self-taught. Isn't that exciting?
Well, I kind of just found some gear and I was like, I think this is scuba gear. This might be what I need.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, you strap it on. And turn the knob.
So strap it on, turn the knob. Those are the first two steps of scuba, I think.
And you put on your goggles. I forgot about that part.
Right, got to do that. And so where did you train? What pond did you train yourself in?
Well, have you been on that road? It's about 50 yards. Oh man, it's really hard to explain where it is, but there's a really nice pond out there. No. I wasn't ready for the big leagues yet. Okay. I needed to find something a little more tame.
Okay, so you found a pond to train yourself in. Yeah. Put on a bunch of stuff that you assumed was scuba gear.
Yeah.
Turned the knob, put your goggles on, and dove right in. And how did that work out for you?
Well, I was 10 at the time, so I almost drowned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You were not supervised, I'm assuming.
No,
all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you calibrate after that to make sure you didn't drown in future outings?
You just trial and error, just kind of like you
ended up with a lot of water in your life.
Exactly. I have some issues now, but but I figured it out. So
wow. And so then, so how did you get hired by John Pimfred Jr., who famously is one of the very top executives at Hogswood Cooper, and probably does a lot of golfing and needed someone to do this? How did that come about? Well,
as I told you, I had been going to golf courses for scouting. I was kind of lingering around the golf course one day, and I saw this older gentleman who seemed like he had a lot of money, was good at golf. And I walked up and I was like, oh, excuse me, sir, do you need some assistance? And he was like, whoa, where'd you come from? And I was like, that pond, you didn't happen to drop a ball in there, did you? And he was like, no, but in case I do, I think you could help me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you pitched yourself
I did.
to John Pimfred Jr. when you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
And he said yes.
Yes.
And you've been with him ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So
I told you I've trained my whole life.
So this older man took a young 10-year-old girl and hired him to be his personal assistant.
Yes.
His personal scuba assistant.
Yeah.
What an interesting choice that he made in that moment.
It was a great choice.
And
honestly.
you're happy with it. You've been happy with the relationship.
Couldn't be happier. At this point, I'm like his daughter. So
I guess you'd have to be. I mean, do you ever go home, or was it like running away to join the circus at that point in your life?
I never looked back.
You never looked back.
Yeah.
So here's this 10-year-old, probably in the woods on a golf course, wearing scuba gear, flip-flops out of the woods. The guy says, "Where'd you come from?" You said, "Do you want me to get your balls for you, sir?" And he hired you for the rest of your life.
It's an inspiring story.
It really is.
I know.
Yeah, for sure is.
That's exactly what happened.
Wow, incredible. And you have a hobby of training neighborhood crows.
Yes.
I guess you don't really have a neighborhood, but you train crows.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
Well, just as my own protection, because I left my home, my family. I've been living in the woods. I find this guy. I'm living with, living on the golf course with this guy.
So you don't, he doesn't get you a hotel room when he's on the road playing different golf courses?
He doesn't realize that I don't really have a place. And so I utilize the crows as kind of like protection for myself, because I don't have someone taking care of me. So
it must be difficult to do when you're going from course to course, and when he's traveling all around the world. If he needs you to come to another course with him, you got to train a whole new batch of crows to protect you. Murder of crows? Is it murder of crows? Is that what it is?
I really couldn't say.
No?
But the thing is, crows fly, so they can go to several different courses. So it's really not an issue.
Stand corrected. You're right.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I could train any crow I come across.
I'm assuming. So what do? You leave shiny things out until they, or you feed them, or
no? I lure them in with song.
Really?
Yeah.
Crow song or human song?
You really can't tell the difference when I'm singing.
Well, this is an audio medium, and I know my listeners would be disappointed if I didn't at least ask. Are you willing to give us a little sample of your?
If you guys are okay with it,
we'd love that.
Okay.
Of course, yeah.
So just kind of setting the stage for you, how it works is I usually, I find an open field and kind of just lay back, close my eyes.
Close your eyes. Yeah.
Deep breath. And then you just kind of see one flitter by. They're like,
wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's for a minute I thought it sounded more like a cat, and then it was more of a human song, and then more of a meditation sort of thing. And I didn't hear any real bird noises, but I am noticing that on the windowsill of my studio right now, of my recording studio, I see a crow out there sitting there, sort of tapping at the window. So it seems to have worked.
Yeah. They love it. I mean, and that's just the beginning, kind of the call. I haven't trained them at that point. It's I've lured them in.
Yeah.
And then the singing gets a bit more aggressive at that point when I train them. Wow. When they become my servants.
And you're self-taught in all of this. You're just sort of a feral child who how old are you now? Do you mind if I ask?
Well, now I'm about 16.
You're 16?
Well, my birthday is coming up, so
but it must be hard to keep track of dates and numbers and things when
you don't have a calendar
or a family telling you, "Hey, tomorrow's your birthday" or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of just guess at the star alignment in where the sun sets. It's probably my birthday today.
Okay, so you're 16.
Yeah.
Wow, so you've been doing this for 6 years or so.
I think.
You think? Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wish you all the success, continued success in the world. It seems like you're a very self-sufficient, very self-reliant person.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, I want to bring my first guest back in, Jenny, and see if she has any thoughts on this. If she could, maybe I always like to see if there's any synergy between the two guests or what have you. Jenny, do you think, could you ever use the services of a self-taught crow handler or scuba enthusiast?
What's underneath? When you scuba, you see anything good?
You see all
Oh, that's a good question. I
Swords
failed.
close?
Thanks, Jenny. That's a good question.
I'm
I
all
failed
about
to
the
ask.
synergy. Don't worry about it.
You
Gina.
didn't answer my question, but you posed a better question that I haven't yet
Yeah.
asked her. So I appreciate that very much. Thanks. So
Yeah, let me just step in
So
the
Lynn,
interviewer seat, if you don't mind.
yeah, sure, that'd be great. So Lynn, do you see anything under there?
A lot of golf balls.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
That
bring
could be
those.
a
You bring
very
those
cool
up, right?
bag,
Do you
a
bring?
very-
Yeah.
a
You
nice
bring them up.
purse.
I don't bring all of them back up. I only bring Mr.
Pimfred's.
Yeah.
How do you know which ones are his?
I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, could you save me the other ones?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Do you smoke cigarettes?
I have never tried.
Could you start?
If you show me how, yeah, I
Oh,
could try.
I could show you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, this is the kind of low-come people we're trying to
Low-come people.
that we're trying to promote. Like we're trying to get clothing for.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what?
Well, first of all, Jenny, you were making fun of me for
I know.
talking about low-income
Well, I
people,
just
but now you're essentially saying like that this other guest is part of a socioeconomic status that you can use in some
she's
way.
a part of the fringe culture,
Yeah.
and we're trying to get them in.
Okay.
You know, I'm starting to feel like the butt of the joke here.
No,
Oh, that's like a pun.
a pun on the cigarettes,
cigarette
which
smoke.
I do appreciate.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, fantastic. I mean, there is a little bit of a crossover here because it does seem like, Jenny does have like probably some 16-year-olds working in her overseas manufacturing setups, right, with these cigarette jackets. And then here we have a 16-year-old who makes her living right now working probably illegally on the road for a billionaire. So you both are in the sort of like child exploitation game, I guess I would say.
We're on the opposite sides of the coin,
Yes,
for sure.
for sure,
But,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
You're
I-
looking a little shocked by that, Lynn.
I don't know. I don't see it that way. I think I've built up my own career for the last 6 years, and I feel like you're kind of diminishing that a little bit.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm saying you should start working at the age of 10. And I think she's really
Sure.
proving a great point.
Thank you.
They
Yeah, I
have
mean
tiny
that's
hands. It's easier for them to do things.
totally.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the problem with legislation and everything. We're putting all sorts of regulations on labor to the point where we can't, a 10-year-old can't even go out there and get a job anymore. And
Yeah.
it's called child labor, right?
They
Yeah.
can't even buy a pack of cigarettes
Right.
like they used to.
Yeah. At 10, you used to be able to buy a pack of cigarettes and work in the mines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And come
that's-
home to your wife.
And that taught you how to be an adult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look, she's pulling herself
Yeah.
up by her bootstraps.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you. I would love to work for you with if you need help designing a new.
Well, we could find something maybe behind the scenes.
Okay.
But we'll talk.
Seems like Jenny is is overly concerned with how things might look if this poor urchin child was working for her.
Do not put words in my mouth.
Well, you are the one who is like is putting her head in trash cans and pulling cigarette butts out. So
I'm doing it too.
you are.
We could both be a part of the fringe, but
Yeah.
am I going to be bringing her to the banquets?
I'm wondering that. I mean, you might bring her to Billy Joel's house. Does he
I would
golf?
love
He
that.
golfs. He has golf
You ever shoot
tournaments
a
and
gun?
stuff.
You ever
No.
skeet? Okay.
No,
All right.
I don't.
Do you know who Billy Joel is?
Do you know what music is besides the Crows?
No, not the. I think she meant the Crows, the band. I'm also wondering if maybe you could take her to Montauk and show her the actual ocean. Wouldn't that be exciting?
That would be beautiful.
I would love that.
If you've only been in ponds.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting.
The ocean's saltier.
It's salty.
What do you mean?
There's salt water and then there's like lake water.
Who puts salt in the water?
There's a lot to unpack there. I just don't know if we have time.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
it feels more like you're the host of this podcast.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, we're just
It's because
We
she's a
have
girl
catch up,
boss.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Just by nature, I am a girl boss, so I
Yeah.
have to take over every
get it.
situation
I
and
get
make
it.
it about me. I'm very sorry.
No, it's almost like you consider me some kind of beta cuck.
I've been trying to.
Holding your tongue.
I've been holding my tongue, not saying the word beta or cuck in this whole conversation.
I appreciate that. Thank you.